What's the right set? Once again, you are welcome to the headquarters of the ruling New Patriotic Party. Just as we did last week, today we've invited you here for a very simple but necessary exercise. Without much ado, I humbly invite the General Secretary of the ruling party, the NPP, to address us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and welcome to the New Patriotic Party headquarters. If you all recall, last week, Wednesday, 11th December, we invited you to our headquarters to do a press conference and also to brief you and bring you up to speed of where we were as a party, the number of constituencies that we had won, and outstanding constituencies that we had issues, particularly the attitude of the opposition party, the NDC, obstructing coalition processes in several constituencies. Today, we have met you again to once again bring you up to speed of where we are after our press conference on Wednesday. But before we proceed to give you details of today's press conference, I also want us to acknowledge the presence of some key party stalwarts who are with us here this morning. On my extreme left is Grievance Of Electoral, who is the Director of Research and Elections for our party. Next is Mr. Gary Nimako, Director of Legal Affairs. We also have Chairman Makmenu, who was the chairperson for our electoral affairs for campaign 2024. We have the Majority Leader, Honorable Afenyo-Markin, sitting on my right. We also have Honorable Obi Amwa, who is also part of the Electoral Affairs Committee. Then the Regional Chairman of Greater Accra, Chairman Divine, is also here. Our Director of Finance and Administration, William Yamwa. The third Vice National Chairman, Alhaji Masawood, is also here. The Youth Organizer, Salam Mustafa, is also here with us. And we also have our parliamentary candidates, some of our parliamentary candidates in the affected constituencies that we will train more details in our press conference. We have Honorable Akuya Friye, our parliamentary candidate for Dome-Kwabenya North, here with us also. Charles Forson, our parliamentary candidate for Tema Central, is also here. Nana Jima Prempe, our parliamentary candidate for Ahafo North. Elvis Osei Sadapa, our parliamentary candidate for Ahafo Southwest, and Abanga Yakubu, our parliamentary candidate for Aowi. Ladies and gentlemen, the New Patriotic Party, per our tradition, has always believed in expressing our reservations and concerns through due process. And anyone who knows our history will agree with me that whenever we have issues, whenever we feel something are not going right, we don't resort to violence. We always make our case known to the Ghanaian public so that at least they will hear our side and also be informed of what is really happening. Like I indicated to you last week Wednesday when we did the press conference about how the NDC were creating chaos in various coalition centers. Afterwards, the Electoral Commission moved the coalition centers for some constituencies to the police training school at Tesano. And true to that, we were able to resolve issues in three constituencies, namely Suhum, Akwatia, and Fantia North. But the process also has come to a stalemate or standstill because, again, typical of the NDC, they didn't want the process to go on. So today, this press conference will be led by the Electoral and Legal Affairs Committee of the New Patriotic Party to give accurate and more detailed account, what we refer to further and better particulars of the outstanding constituencies, so that at least the whole of Ghana, through your medium, will get to appreciate the issues at stake, and also to let you know that as a political party, our next line of action. And I can assure you, all the seats that are remaining, that we in the New Patriotic Party strongly believe, based on our coalition that we won, that seat, whether today, tomorrow, next week, 1 month, what is due us will be given to the New Patriotic Party through fair means. So at this juncture, I will invite Mr. Macmenu to brief us and do the press conference on behalf of the New Patriotic Party. Thank you very much.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the press. The leadership of the New Patriotic Party is pleased to welcome you to the party's National Secretariat for the crucial engagement and commends you for honoring our invitation at such a short notice. The essence of today's media engagement is to furnish you with the details of unfolding developments at the various coalition centers for the outstanding constituencies and the state of the party's official position on all such matters. The NPP has with great concern taken notice of the NDC's crude strategy of sending their party hoodlums to disrupt ongoing collation of parliamentary election results in constituencies that they know they have lost. The modus operandi of these hoodlums, with the consent of the NDC leadership, is to visit the collation centers and undertake the following lawless acts: destroy all pink sheets they could lay their hands on, destroy ballot boxes and other election materials, beat up electoral officers and party representatives who challenge them, threaten the life of any person who disagrees with them, chase out members of the National Election Security Task Force and take charge of the collation process, ensure the collation is aborted when they realize that their candidate has lost, and compel the returning officers to declare NDC parliamentary candidates as winners of the parliamentary elections. These infractions have been recorded during the collation of the parliamentary election results for the following constituencies: 1. Ablekuma North, 2. Dome-Kwabenya Central, 3. Tema Central, 4. Dome-Kwabenya, 5. Ahafo North, 6. Obuasi East, 7. Ahafo Southwest, 8. Akwatia, 9. Sukum, 10. Fantiakwa North, 11. Nsawam Adwajiri, and lastly but not the least, Techima South. And our win. The question many will ask is, why will anybody who claims to have won an election be interested in destroying the most crucial evidence, in this case, pink sheets and ballot papers, that will confirm his victory? The person who has claimed to have genuinely won an election should rather be interested in protecting the pieces of evidence that will prove that he has indeed won. It is thus not in doubt that the only reasonable conclusion that can be drawn from the lawless conduct of the NDC leadership and their party tax is that they know they have lost the parliamentary elections in these constituencies and are therefore desperately seeking to destroy all the pieces of evidence in order to make it impossible for the victor to prove his victory. We shall at this juncture proceed to demonstrate that the NPP parliamentary candidates
in the above-mentioned constituencies indeed won the parliamentary elections. Details of infractions in each constituency. 1. Ablekuma North constituency. The NPP parliamentary candidate, Honorable Nana Akua Afenyo-Markin, has won the parliamentary seat with 414 votes difference. According to data collated from all the 281 polling stations in the Ablekuma North constituency, Honorable Akua Afenyo-Markin of the NPP obtained a total of 34,613 votes to beat her contender, the Reverend Obin of the NDC, who obtained 34,199 votes. We have scanned all the 281 pink sheets issued to us by the presiding officers of the various polling stations before transporting them to the EC Collation Center. Despite knowing that they have lost the parliamentary elections in Ablekuma North, per the records on the pink sheet, the NDC and their parliamentary candidate are refusing to accept the reality and to respect the will of the people of Ablekuma North, as expressed at the polls. They are still desperately seeking to mislead their supporters and the general public into believing that they won the election. Further to this, the NDC tried every possible means to destroy pink sheets, which are the primary records of the elections. It will be recalled that on Sunday, 8 December 2024, NDC tax stormed Ablekuma North Constituency Collation Center, overpowered the police, and ran amok, attempting to destroy every electoral material on site. In view of the vandalism that occurred at the collation center by the NDC hoodlums, the EC was unable to continue with the collation exercise at the constituency collation center. Consequently, the EC invited the parties to the EC Regional Collation Center at Ridge on Monday, 9th December 2024 to complete the collation. A total of 214 polling station results were collated after verification and authentication by all the parties, leaving 67 pink sheets, which were to be collated on Tuesday, 10th December 2024. However, when the parties got to the Regional Collation Center on Tuesday, the NDC representatives, in shocking turn of events, said they wouldn't allow the EC to collate the remaining 67 polling station results, insisting that they could not find their pink sheets. They then ordered the constituency returning officer, Mr. Vincent Obin, to declare their candidate as winner of the parliamentary election. How? The returning officer told them that he had not finished with the collation, so he had no means of ascertaining who won the election and by what margin. By what margin has she won? The returning officer pleaded with them to cooperate with him to collect the remaining 67 pink sheets before making any declaration as required by Regulation 43 of CI 127, a position that was strongly supported by the NPP's parliamentary candidate and her agents. The NDC would, however, have none of that, as they insisted that their candidate, Reverend Obin, had won and should be declared as such. This resulted in a misunderstanding, whereupon the NDC reps invited their party tax, who had massed up at the EC Regional Collation Center, to force their way into the collation center, having overpowered the security and destroyed facilities belonging to the commission, the Electoral Commission. As widely captured in videos that are in circulation, the NDC tax threatened to beat the returning officer and kill him if he failed to declare their candidate as the winner. Fearing for his life, Mr. Vincent Obin, the returning officer, gave in to their demands, except that because he had not finished with the collation, he could not and they've not mentioned any figure or percentages obtained by the candidates. Can we see the video? There's a glitch here. Okay, let me continue. We'll show you the video. The returning officer, in response to this is the time. Okay, this is the video. The returning officer being attacked and whisked to declare to them. Is there any voice? Thank you. The returning officer, in response to what the NDC hoodlums had ordered him to do, amid the threat of his life, only said, "I declare you as a winner." without even mentioning the name of the candidate nor the number of votes obtained by any of the candidates as required by law. Equally, the Parliamentary Results Collation Sheet Form 1C and Parliamentary Results Summary Sheet Form 1D could not be filled as required by Regulation 43(1)B of CI 127. Additionally, the returning officer could not issue out the rate for 1B as required by Regulation 43(1)G. I pose this question, that if your hand is raised that you have won an election and you go to the house, what are you going to show to your wife or your husband that you have won an election? There must be a documentary proof. So if your hand is only raised that you have won an election and you go home, what are you going to tell your wife or your husband? Or what are you going to show him or her that you have won an election? The processes are documented in Regulation 43 of the CI. So if it's incomplete, it's incomplete. So that's for Madam Manhyia and Grievance North. 2, we move on to Tema Central constituency. Data on the face of the pinches from all the 148 polling stations in Tema Central shows clearly that the NPP parliamentary candidates, Charles Force, won the parliamentary elections for the constituency with 55 votes difference. He obtained 18,870 votes to beat the NDC's candidate, Ebi Bright, who polled 18,815. When the NDC realized that they had lost, they sent their party thugs to disrupt the coalition exercise. These thugs overpowered the security and ran amok at the coalition center, injuring innocent people in the process. This compelled the Tema Metro EC Director, Mr. Ofosuhene A. Manasseh, to call for a suspension of the coalition in view of the prevailing chaos and other security concerns. Coalition resumed on Monday, 9th December, at the Tema Regional Police Command, which was again disrupted by the NDC thugs, who stormed the coalition center in their hundreds and overpowered the police. The thugs took charge of the coalition process and ordered the EC to declare their parliamentary candidate, Ebi Bright, as the winner of the elections, when it was left with 2 pin sheets to complete the coalition process. The NDC knew very well that when the results of the 2 remaining polling stations are added to what has been collated for the candidates, the NPP parliamentary candidate, Charles Force, will beat their candidate by 55 votes. The polling station codes of the 2 outstanding stations and votes obtained by the 2 candidates are code C231309B, NPP 170 votes, NDC 103 votes. The second polling station outstanding is C231707. And here, NPP got 279 votes and NDC 173. When the returning officer for the constituency resisted their attempt to compel him to declare the NDC candidate as the winner of the elections, the NDC brought in a staff of the Electoral Commission from a different constituency, Tema West, to do the declaration for the Tema Central constituency without the inclusion of the two remaining pink sheets. Here too, the Form 1B, 1C, and 1D were all not filled by the officer as required by the law. They used an A4 sheet to fill the statutory form. Show them. You have the video of the A4 sheet. All right. So that is what happened at Tema Central. We now move on to Krowa Central constituency. The NPP candidate and incumbent MP for Krowa Central constituency, Honorable Patrick Yabwama, won the parliamentary elections with a vote margin of 1,446 votes difference. The NPP candidate, Honorable Patrick Yabwama, obtained 20,229 votes as against NDC's Baba Sadiq, who polled 18,783 votes, with only 3 polling stations remaining. The records show that even when all the votes in the 3 polling stations are added to the NDC's candidate, it will not offset the vote difference. This is important. Even when all the 3 outstanding polling stations are added on to the NDC candidate, it would not offset the vote difference. At this moment, the collation process was disrupted by the NDC thugs, who stormed the collation center and sought to destroy critical electoral materials, including pink sheets, essential for verifying the results. They took control of the collation process and threatened the EC's officials to declare their candidate as winner, resulting in chaotic scenes which led to suspension of the constituency collation. The parties were invited to the EC Regional Collation Center on Monday, 9 December 2024, to complete the collation process. The NDC insisted that they would not accept the continuation of the collation and demanded that the EC should declare their candidate as winner of the parliamentary election. Under visible duress, the returning officer excluded the results from 31 polling stations and declared the results based on only 110 polling stations. This action is inconsistent with the electoral laws as it excludes legitimate votes cast by constituents and fails to reflect the true outcome of the elections in Krowa Central. The NDC's disagreement was based on alleged issue with certain polling stations. The attack stormed the electoral EC collation center and coerced the returning officer to declare. And here too, we have video footages to corroborate these incidents of vandalism and physical abuse of the electoral staff. I don't think you can show the footage.
This one is applicable. No.
All right, so let's go to the 4th one, Dome-Kwabenya constituency. We will share these videos with you. During the collation at Dome-Kwabenya constituency collation center, the NDC hoodlums attacked the collation center, destroyed electoral materials on site, bent ballot boxes, thereby truncating the collation process. The returning officer informed parties to leave the collation center on account of the security challenges, which made it impossible to continue with the collation. The returning officer assured the candidates and their agents that she would communicate a new venue for the continuation of the collation. We are however hearing that there was a purported declaration of results under duress, and that too in our absence, contrary to requirements of Regulation 43 of CI 127. Equally, the Parliamentary Results Collation Sheet Form 1C and Parliamentary Results Summary Sheet Form 1D was not filled as required by Regulation 43 1B, 1 and B of CI 127, and the rate of declaration for 1B was also not issued as required by Regulation 43 1 and G. The NPP candidate or his agent has still not been informed of the new venue for the continuation of the collation, contrary to the assurances given by the returning officer during the raid by the NDC tax. Well, we can report that based on our own collation, the NPP parliamentary candidate, Ambassador Michael Kwei Jr., won the parliamentary elections in Dome-Kwabenya and are confident that when EC resumes collation, our position will be vindicated. 5. Manhyia North constituency in Ashanti region. The NPP parliamentary candidate, Honorable Eric Nana Ajimai Prempe, won the parliamentary elections with a margin of 121 votes as per data collated from all the 140 polling stations by the party. The NPP's candidate, Nana Ajimai Prempe, has hard copies of all the 140 pink sheets that put him at 20,353 votes as against NDC's candidate at 20,232. I believe we all have witnessed what we call MP3 in Tema Central. So if somebody wins with a difference of 120, he has won. After all, the law says first past the post. During the collation by the EC at the Constituency Collation Center, NDC tax stormed the collation center at Tepa SHS and began destroying and burning electoral materials, particularly pink sheets, computers, and ballot papers, as well as properties of the Tepa SHS, including louver blades, benches, and tables. He also manhandled NPP representatives and EC officials. These violent conducts by the NDC tax, who had overpowered the police, prompted the intervention of the military to save lives and property. The NDC hoodlums did not only attack the collation center, but they also proceeded to launch an attack at the residence of the NPP parliamentary candidate, Honorable Eric Nana Ajimai Prempe, bent his vehicle and attacked his warehouse, stole his items, and attacked his radio station. There are video footages in wide circulations that captured all these attacks. These issues have since been reported to the Ghana police and an arrest warrant has been issued. The videos are there and we will give you copies of it. The question many will ask is, since when has it become an offense to contest a parliamentary elections in this country? Why is the NDC bent on thwarting all our democratic gains? Ghana has made a lot of gains. Instead of consolidating it, they are thwarting it. They are throwing it away. Let's go to the 6th one, Obuasi East. That's also in Ashanti. After collecting the polling station results from all the 115 polling stations, the NPP parliamentary candidate obtained 18,558 votes as against NDC's 18,539. Strangely, the returning officer, the police, and the NPP candidate, at the threat of their lives, succumbed to the unlawful demands of the NDC hoodlums, who had besieged the collation center and took charge of the constituency collation process to swap the election results. And we have that. Is that ready to show them? They swapped the results that I had mentioned and then announced that. Okay, they gave them NPP's candidates to that of the NDC. That's it.
They just cancelled.
They cancelled the first one, which you have the data and reverse and I mean, what is this? They swapped the results in favor of the NDC.
And then locked the candidate and asked him to sign or he dies. But he prefers dying or going to parliament. So he should sign.
Number 7, Ahafo Southwest, also in Ashanti. Results from all the 103 polling stations indicate that the NPP's candidate, Elvis Oseme Sadapa, obtained 16,058 votes, as against NDC's candidate, who polled 15,372 votes. As usual, the NDC hoodlums attacked the collation center and in the process killed one of our supporters. We have all our pinches intact, and that shows clearly that the NPP parliamentary candidate won the parliamentary elections by 686 votes margin. 686 votes margin. The EC invited the parties to its regional collation center on Monday, 9 December 2024 at 10 a.m. The EC collected all the results from all the 103 polling stations, filled the Form 1C as well as the Form 1D, but due to threat on his life, he opted not to declare the final result. So this is the situation at Ahafo Southwest. Now we go to Bono East, number 8, Techima South constituency. Collation from 279 out of a total of 282 polling stations indicate clearly that Honorable Martin Kwaku Agyei-Mensah Kosa, the NPP parliamentary candidate, obtained 46,468 votes as against NDC's Christopher Bayari, who polled 43,365 votes. 2 other candidates in the parliamentary elections obtained 225 votes. The constituency collation was disrupted by NDC elements and has since not resumed. The next one is Eastern Region and Sawam Adwaji. Data from all the 202 polling stations show that the incumbent MP, Honorable Anodombre, has won the parliamentary elections. The EC's collation at the Constituency Collation Center was disrupted by the NDC. The EC's arrangement to continue with the collation at the regional level in Koforidua was also disrupted by the hoodlums, compelling the EC to relocate the collation to the police training school at Tesam based on security considerations. Leader will want to add something because he was present.
Friends from the media, I want to explain something that happened at Tesam. Honorable Obiamwa and my good self were there as representatives from the party's headquarters. On that day, that was a Thursday, last week Thursday, we had 4 constituencies: Manhyia North, Akotia, Suhum, and Nsawam Adwaji. The first collation to be completed for the day was Manhyia North. When we got that done, we came to Akotia, which we also successfully completed, and it was declared. Then it was leveled in Nsawam Adwaji and Suhum. Both were being done. Now, for Suhum, there was another go slow. The NDC at every stage tried to disrupt. Eventually, they rejected 6 polling station results, and we accepted that if they've rejected, they don't want it to be part, that is fine, because it was still giving us a win of over 1,500. Then they tried to use the independent candidate agent to frustrate the process. In fact, eventually, the NDC leaders who came there, led by the famous Alfred Oyomi, told me and Honorable Obiamwa that they want to negotiate for us to allow the declaration of Suhum, and that their foot soldiers were amassing outside, and that if all 4
constituencies are declared for us, they will kill them. Very sad. Eventually, when we said no, we have to continue with the process, and we completed the Suhum process where Suhum was declared. They tried another go-slow on Nsawam-Adwejiri. Each one of them that came said, "Oh, you said, I'm not on pray winning. I am farmer." Where does this happen? Eventually, when the EC official decided to continue the process, the NDC, led by Alfred Woyome, came into the collation center and said that, okay, their computer was not working, so we should give them 2 hours to charge their battery. As at 1 a.m., when they had gotten 3 hours to charge the so-called battery of the laptop, they said they were tired. Meanwhile, their candidate walked in. The candidate for Nsawam-Adwejiri walked in. And we said, okay, if you are tired, the candidate himself was there. Meanwhile, Honorable Anadambre had been there the whole day. What next? The EC official, after another 1 hour of unnecessary disruption, he said he was tired, he was feeling sleepy, and that we should do it at 6 a.m. the following day, Friday. We all slept there. Well, by the way, I left around 4 a.m. to shower, and I came back around 7 o'clock. Around this time, the General Secretary was also there, but the candidate, Honorable Anadambre, and his agent slept there. At 6:30 thereabout, collation resumed. Around 8 o'clock, they started the agenda again. Will not allow. Then around 8:30, their counsel came in, Honorable Mr. Eduji Tamaku, claiming that he had in his possession an injunction order from the court, only to find out later that they will use a delay tactics to file an application. They had filed a writ in court, that is the candidate for NDC had filed a writ in court with an injunction application, which they were seeking to serve the Honorable Anadambre and EC. So clearly, these are not Democrats. Whereas Dr. Bawumia conceded defeat even before EC's official announcement, they were not ready to accept defeat in these constituencies that day. They were not ready to concede defeat where they knew clearly, because the posture was that they won't allow the process to continue. And then, in fact, on Friday itself, after they have successfully gotten the Anadambre's constituency collation disrupted, then they came to the others. The police had arranged collation tables for the other constituencies. In fact, Techiman South has started. They were collating. Ahafo Southwest, we had their table. We had Obuasi East, and all the Ashanti region seats were supposed to be collated. And then the following day, Saturday, was for Greater Accra. They deliberately disrupted and then used social media to threaten the police, whereupon the police felt that they could not provide security, in spite of EC's insistence to continue the work. In fact, on Friday afternoon, it was the police that actually instructed the EC to stop the collation process. I repeat, on Friday afternoon, it was the police that instructed EC to stop the process of collating the result because it was not sure of its ability to provide security. And you recall that was when the deputy communication officer, I don't want to mispronounce his name, had issued threat, had commanded 5,000 people to meet at the police training school. It's all on social media. So our appeal to the international community, civil society organizations, the media, and all lovers of democracy is to show interest in these outstanding constituencies and give the EC every moral support to proceed to make these declarations. Again, we are encouraging the Electoral Commission that, pursuant to their own statement they issued and their press conference on the evening of Friday, to proceed to collect and declare these results. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So I continue from here. Our win constituency in Western North region. Records from 181 polling stations indicate that the vote difference between our candidates, Abanga Yaku, and the NDC candidate is 103 votes in favor of the NDC candidate. However, we have learned of some major infractions at some polling stations, which the party is still investigating. Other outstanding constituencies. Collation processes in Sukum, Manhyia North, and the Kodua constituencies were botched because of some security challenges occasioned by the NDC supporters and hoodlums besieging the respective constituency collation centers. The EC's arrangement to continue with the collation at the regional level was also disrupted by the hoodlums, compelling the EC to relocate the collation to the police training school at Tesano based on security considerations, just as leader has just mentioned. Subsequently, these collations have since been completed under a serene environment and the results declared. True to our case, all the results were declared in favor of the NPP parliamentary candidates. The point must be made that this is not the first time in the history of this country's election that we have been confronted with an issue where there has been a continuation of a disrupted constituency collation or recollation. I think this point is very important, ladies and gentlemen. It will be recalled that in the year 2004, the parliamentary results in Pru constituency was initially declared for the NPP candidate, King David Amwa. However, upon recollation of the results based on the pin sheets provided by the NDC candidate and his agents, the EC, under the then chairman, Dr. Kodua And Afenyo-Markin, reversed the results and declared the NDC candidate as the winner. So it has happened before in the electoral history of this country. The point must also be made that the position of the law is that once a proper and regular declaration has been done by the EC, the only remedy available to an aggrieved party, apart from resorting to alternative dispute resolution, ADR, pursuant to Court Act and ADR Act, is to go to the High Court for redress under Article 99(1) of the 1992 Constitution. However, with the seats that the NPP is contesting, no declaration, properly so-called, was done. So the declaration has not been done. Why do who can ask us to go to court? No, it's for the EC to recollect as it did in the year 2004 under Dr. Afenyo at Pru constituency in the now Bono East region. But the EC itself has issued a statement, a press conference, that there's no declaration. How does the NDC expect the EC to gazette election results that have not been fully collated and declared? It is pretty obvious that the NDC leadership and their supporters who stormed the collation centers to compel the EC under the threat of death to declare their candidates as winners have labored in vain, because we are a country of rule of law, not rule of men. EC's response: it is not surprising that at a press conference held on Friday, 13 December, the Electoral Commission, through its deputy chair, Mr. Samuel Tete, stated emphatically that there was no declaration of the Manhyia North, Dome-Kwabenya, Tema Central, North, Ahafo North, Ahafo Southwest, Obuasi East, Techima South, and Nsawam Adwajiri constituency parliamentary results, because the collation was incomplete. Indeed, the Commission has maintained that all purported declaration of parliamentary results made under duress, as was seen in those constituencies, are not in conformity with laid down processes enshrined in CI 127, hence illegal and will not be upheld. Will not be upheld by the EC. Conclusion. It is therefore our expectation that the EC would immediately resume the collation exercise. We implore the National Election Security Task Force to provide adequate security to facilitate peaceful collation under a serene environment. We are also calling on the NDC leadership to rein in on their supporters. We are very certain that our parliamentary candidates in the above-mentioned constituencies won the elections based on verifiable data from the pink sheets as we have demonstrated. We urge the EC and all stakeholders to, in the interest of democracy and peace of our dear country, take immediate steps to give effect to the will of the voters in these constituencies as expressed in the December vote. I thank you all.
Alright, so you may proceed.
Ibra, Chairman McMenu, a Kanye, Ninano, over the Tofa. The baby, we said, yeah, I was the new patriotic party. And then I declared a name more and Central for no issue. The Tente and the Tente, and they said, your constituencies you are NPP based on your coalition and your Dome-Kwabenya ewo and after so pin sheet your Kodua by electoral commission and the political parties no you can in your boom no near Dome-Kwabenya over constituencies ni na baby and to say Manhyia North o share goes NPP nya our Manhyia North 34,613. Now NDC candidates, as we know, 34,199. HSA year candidate, friend Honorable Nana Ekuya Osuefie Dome-Kwabenya with 414 votes. So we Manhyia North, if you are over Tema Central so. O share your results you are collated based on PCTA, electoral commission na the Manhyia. O who said your candidate a year forcing in 18,870 and now NDC candidate no in 18,115. O free Manhyia North now by Krowa Central. And also yera Patribuama our yemra shebe bianu ho ono so o collecting the results in area obo say NPP candidate no nya 20,229 NDC candidate ni na 18,783 to share vote difference there one na 1,446 vote difference na cut 3 polling stations and they say kan NDC for na after. There's all kinds of 3 polling station votes in Krowa still your candidate and the Dome-Kwabenya. Over baby to say Dome-Kwabenya also so NDC for no 2 trasem and the Basabasa call hono. Omantima Wama coalition there's a coso or Dome-Kwabenya and also so our coso ewo. Over baby to say for non-north constituency. Okay, a piece it and your own Aboma. Your candidate a year Nanajima, Eric Nanajima Prempe. 20,353 as against NDC candidate we now 20,232. To show my vote difference no 121 vote difference. Oba baby to say West East NPP near Dome-Kwabenya. Vote NPP candidate now 18,558 as against NDC candidate we now 18,539. And no electoral commission will be annual quality results in the review. Now, so NDC for a macho man form or to transfer or a share electoral commission, your candidate said results NPP and NPP dear man this ne find this the NPP our medicine can do is to say obewu na so be parliament then na ope and o metintim your candidate nsa we are no free our north south west and so your candidate or we share votes are now here na 16,058 and then this candidate now 16,000 your candidate now 16,058 and then this candidate now 15,372 and we share vote margin the BTN this now is 686 votes and so this for two transactions or mama electoral commission and quality results na we over 30 South so honorable Martin Kokweje Mensa Kosa no adinkunim or sa constituency our votes are near quality we now 46,468 as against NDC candidate we now 43,365 votes and so said the NDC 4 year to try some of Krowa Central Afano Southwest and Afano North no sa no we call her Tema South it mean can we in someone address so the same issue and the course e wo ho and the crowd there said the Afenyo-Markin majority leader kan no you could share what Tesano na ka electoral commission and twice so it mean can we and this is the patapasem to trust sa massa exercise no am yan kwan ko bi now about our win constituency also so electoral commission start to carry results no yeah sure what we say figures we have our police station we have o ma than figures no and then so yeah call electoral commission say or honor results no so e some moment call as a party so e go so aye hwehwem now for constituency be to say suhum Manhyia North any akwatia enam say na bambo eni sa constituency ho no a wo sare call already bambo ho no ye no call Tesano police training school ho no asundwe wo ho ntitimi quality ni nyina ye wie no ampa say the NPP ye kan ye di kunim e osumu akwatia na Manhyia North they say baby aba bedru no ye say electoral commission say aka standing constituency sa yen kan wie ya es wo hwe em ye kan ye say ye IGP ira dampare o se ye bo say abato ebetu na ma asundwe abam na no ma ekoso no ne sa na yehu no say NDC timi the 2 mission monsem na police na ho police timi nya hwe na o ye tutu asem ho ti ye say bambo bia so the my electoral commission say be electoral commission ebetima ye o madwuma wie no sa bambo ye fa ma electoral commission no nya say adwuma o beti say NDC board kind of frameworks say NPP ye say win ye court ye nya do be ye say court if the electoral commission on quality results we and gazette here and nti beka so be nya say court ye nya we collation ni dey say ye collation ni we ye odije say electoral commission collation ni we a NPP be di kunim all south constituencies enti na frame wan no ye da mu nyina amase
Thank you very much for coming.
yeah questions or
No question.
Nana have 10. You're very in this manner. You're fighting English. 3 questions now for you. 3 questions. You next year, you're in the house.